All right, we're live. It's Wednesday night. It's 7 o'clock. And you know what that means? It's another episode of our 76 Capital Leadership Series. And we have a really special guest tonight. We have Deirdre Lester, the Chief Revenue Officer of Barstool Sports. And I'm really excited to have her on the show because she was involved with one of our prior companies as well. And I'm just so proud of all the things that she's done. And wow, Barstool Sports is some rocket ship today, and really excited to hear all about that. And as you know, before all of our shows, we get into, what is 76 Capital? What do we do? What are we all about? Well, most of you know, we're a venture capital fund. I'm the managing partner, and what we do is we are looking to invest in entrepreneurs that are doing the next thing in sports. We talk about wanting to invest in people that are passionate, that are smart, that are nice, and want to change the world. And when you think about all the things that are going on in the world today, that's what we talk about all the time, and that's our philosophy, and that's what we're always talking about, where we're about trying to make this world a better place, helping others and trying to make this world a better place. And my God, with all the things that are happening now, that's what we all need to do, and that's really truly our responsibility. And so do what you got to do, but try to stay safe out there and do some really exciting things. So for the 76 Capital News this week, let's get on to the news. Our first story of the week was a really exciting one. I mean, Washington, D.C. now has sports betting. We have 22 states that have passed sports betting laws, as well as 2 jurisdictions. So Washington, D.C. takes it up to the 19th state that's legal and that's up and going. So that's a big deal. We talked about this many times. Sports betting has only been around for about 2 years outside of the state of Nevada. And it's legal now in 19 states that are running live, 22 states and 2 jurisdictions. I mean, amazing stuff. Our next story is what's happening around one of our really great strategic partners in Rubicon Talent, and what they've been able to do and what they're doing with the WWE and their partnership there, and what they're doing and how they're their official sales agency there. And many of you probably aren't aware of all the incredible things that are happening at WWE, and how, quite frankly, they're some of the most engaged. They have the most engagement on Twitter. By 5 of their superstars are in the top 10 of top engagement on Twitter. So really excited for the team with Peter and Dave and Brandon and John and everything that they're doing over there at Rubicon Talent, and how they have this great client of theirs that they're working with at the WWE. And I wish them a lot of luck and just keep going. And my God, the WWE, it's the #1 thing that people are watching. Incredible right now. Third story we have today is also coming up. We have our esports edition of our startup showcase. We are still looking for companies. We are accepting applications. We'll be accepting applications till midnight on June 7th. Submit your company. We'd love to have you come on. We want to promote your company and hear about what you're up to and what you're doing. And finally, we had our sports betting roundtable, which was last Friday, and we had the great Matthew Holt from U.S. Integrity. We had the incredible Ari from Maestro. I mean, what Ari Evans talked about and what Maestro is doing from a streaming perspective, and what's next, not only in esports, but in regular sports, and how you can integrate sports betting into what he's doing on that platform was really incredible. We also had Evan Davis on talking about what was happening in the sports betting industry, and Mike Schreiber and I really enjoyed moderating that. You can watch that on our YouTube channel at 76 Capital, and please, sign up for our newsletter. Take a look at all the things that we do at 76 Capital and how we are reaching out to all of you. We're looking to work with the next great entrepreneur. We want to work with you if you're interested in thinking about, want to invest in some of the companies that we're involved with. We're looking for partners in all the things that we do. We really enjoy partnering with others and working with others to try to make some incredible companies within the sports world, because we're all about investing in companies in the sports tech world, in the esports industry, and in the sports betting industry. Now let's get to the show tonight. Really excited to bring on a really special guest, and who is the Chief Revenue Officer of Barstool Sports, Deirdre Lester. Deirdre, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wade. It's great to see you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I've been enjoying watching your series, your leadership series.
Thank you. You know, this series it's been a great thing that we've been able to do, is trying to stay in touch with all the people that are doing things and doing the most incredible things within the sports industry around the country, even during this time, you know, this time where we're all having to, you know, stay at home, and it's been tough, but, you know, we've had some great conversations, and that's what I hope that we get to have tonight, and really talk about what it really means to be a leader. We want to inspire young people. We want to talk to young people about this idea of how do you get into the industry? How do you become the chief revenue officer of one of the top media properties out there, not only in sports, but just in everything that you're doing around Barstool. So excited for this conversation. One of the things that we do on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is to start off is really to hear about you and your background, and love to hear a little bit about, you know, where you grew up and about your parents and your total upbringing.
Yeah, cool. Your producer sent me down like a little memory lane trip. He asked me to submit some pictures of family and growing up and college and early career stuff. And I have to say that, you know, one of the things that made me realize is there's like periods of my life, because we didn't live in this digital age we live in today, that I don't have any pictures. Like there was not a single picture from my college years that I felt was appropriate to submit to your show. But, you know, I grew up, I grew up in New Jersey, Westfield, New Jersey, family, my mom and dad, 2 brothers, grew up there. Also spent summers in Breezy Point, New York, which is a little beach town out in Queens and not far from Coney Island. So kind of split my time between those 2 places. There's a picture you're showing now. I was kind of an athlete growing up, competitive runner. That's a picture of me running in the cross country national championships when I was probably 12. Wow. So we were a big running family. My dad ran, you know, the New York Marathon every year for many, many years, and other, you know, we would go to races on the weekend all around the tri-state area. So that was a big part of growing up for me, was doing that. And also, you know, constantly, you know, battling with my brothers over who had the fastest, you know, 2-mile time or whatever it might be. So definitely a lot of competitive spirit amongst my siblings and my just entire family.
Were your brothers older or younger?
I'm the middle. I'm like right smack in the middle. They're one's 4 years older, one's 4 years younger. So middle child. Some people say that says a lot about you, but I don't really know if that's true or not.
Well, you know, if my sister Michelle's watching, you know, she's the middle one, and we all know what that means. You know, she's the tough one, she's the wild one, and she tells us all what to do. So is that how it is in your family?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that is kind of true of me. I'm kind of in charge. Yeah. And, you know, now I live here in Rye, New York. So, you know, I have 2 sons. So ironically, you know, I grew up with 2 brothers, and now I live in a house of all boys again. So it's fun. They're very sporty too. So, and they're into sports, both participating and then, you know, watching and attending. So we're dying for sports here at the Lester household. We can't wait to be able to go back out to stadiums and arenas and watch our favorite, you know, teams. I'll tell you, that picture you've got up there now is very telling. My husband's from Boston. So, unfortunately for me, I have, you know, a family of Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, and big Bruins fans living in my household. And so I've had to just kind of roll with it. I love the Sox. I love the people I love the team, the people that work there. I used to work at Major League Baseball, so I've got a lot of heart for baseball and hoping they come back. But yeah, I've got a lot of Boston sports paraphernalia around my house.
But you're not a Red Sox fan, I understand.
Yeah, no, I would consider myself a Yankees fan, which, you know, the rivalry is obviously very strong there. So that can be fun at times. In fact, you know, the tables at our wedding, I got married in Vermont and in New England, and we named the tables after the starting lineups of the Red Sox and the Yankees, because it was during the playoffs, and the teams were actually playing while we were celebrating our wedding. So we figured we might as well just roll with it.
That's really cool. It's cool. You both could at least agree on that part of it. That you could involve it in your wedding. No, that's awesome. So you went to the University of Vermont, I understand, right?
Yeah.
And you did everything in sports, right?
No. College, once I was out of high school, sports, I wasn't going to run in college. It just was, I think I was kind of burnt out. I went to school to study, have fun, learn a lot, ski, and make new friends. So it was, and it really wasn't, I studied English literature. I was a Spanish language minor and studied abroad in Spain. And it was very liberal arts, kind of my education at University of Vermont. So I don't even think I took a single business class, which, looking back, probably not a good decision. Don't advise that for any younger professionals that are watching. I think I got out of school with very much a rudderless approach to what I wanted to do, what my career was going to look like. In my eyes, I was going to be a magazine writer and eventually write a novel, which maybe someday I'll sit down and do. But I didn't come out with a clear path. I didn't endeavor to get into digital media or sports media and advertising and sponsorship. That was not a path that I was directing myself to. It sort of fell in my lap. I drove cross country after I graduated UVM. UVM is a great school, by the way, for anyone who's thinking about going there or has kids and you're wondering if you should send them there. It's a fantastic experience. But I drove cross country. The thing at that time, it was 1998. The cool thing to do was drive across country and live in San Francisco and try to get a job at a .com. I got a job at a hedge fund, which didn't last too long for me because it really working market hours for when you're that young and everyone else has a fun digital media job, just didn't sit well with me. So, but I ended up kind of landed in my lap working at CNET, CNET.com, which at the time was one of the very first pioneering digital media companies, and it was just so inspiring, so entrepreneurial, so innovative. They gave everybody opportunity beyond what your current years of experience would normally let you do, because we were just moving so fast, growing so fast. There was so much to do and so much opportunity, and there was no playbook of, how do you, sell digital media to advertisers. It was a lot of education, a lot of evangelizing, and it was a very much young, fun, high energy company. And I loved it there. I stayed there almost 5 years, and I actually moved.
What were the different roles that you had when you were there?
I actually started as the executive assistant to the head of sales. A woman named Danielle Hawk, and I worked for her just to get my foot in the door. It seemed like a good opportunity. She needed somebody to help her. I got to go everywhere with her and kind of learn, as her assistant. And that led me to, a lot of interest in what her sales team were doing. So started kind of, shadowing some of the sales executives there, some of the marketing team, just learning the business from the ground up. And I did jump right into sales. I thought it would be fun. I thought it was something I would enjoy. Going back to I'm competitive. Sales is a competitive, no matter what industry, sales is usually a competitive environment. It's usually fast-paced, high energy. It requires a lot of talking to people. Back then we didn't have the ability to just text and Slack and just avoid human interaction altogether. We actually had to pick up the phone and talk to people every day for hours and hours. I cold called hundreds and hundreds of cold calls a day at the early start. And then as, I moved up the ranks into, more senior sales roles where you're working on big named accounts like Dell, IBM, HP. Those were some of the first companies to really invest in digital marketing because they were tech companies that got it. They knew what was coming. They were developing the future. So it was really fun and entrepreneurial. I will say I got very bored over time of talking tech all the time. CNET is a tech, it's like a Consumer Reports, it's a tech news and reviews site. And I'm not that passionate about the tech itself. the media, the digital media as a communications platform and how that's changing everyone's lives, I'm fascinated by, but the hardware of it all, the enterprise solutions of it all, is just not my passion. So I moved on from there when I had an opportunity to go to ESPN. And that was literally a phone call from a recruiter letting me know there was an opportunity, that they were looking for people with digital media experience, which at the time, there weren't many of us. We were a small class of people in 2003. And I went over there and, I got an opportunity to work in sports, but also I knew that like media is bigger than just digital. I need to get closer to television, print, and other forms of media so that I can broaden my understanding of the media and advertising landscape. So sports was like the perfect way to do that. ESPN at the time was definitely the leader in sports digital media. We're putting highlights on their homepage before there was enough broadband to make that work really well. And so I was excited to make that jump, but it wasn't like I looked for a sports job. It just kind of landed in my lap. But I will say this, like ever since then, if you look at my track record, like once I got a bite of that apple, I had blinders went on. People have called me over the years with opportunities to do things in other genres, other areas. And I've really just I have so much passion for sports as a fan, sports as a medium, sports as a marketing vehicle for brands, that I just decided at that point, I'm just going to stick with sports, and anything I do is going to stay on this course.
Well, then you had a couple other interesting stops, and then we met when you were at Whistle Sports, and that was really awesome. And it was right when great picture that James just shared with everybody is when we were, just kind of getting going at Whistle Sports, and the Dude Perfect guys were helping them kind of become what they are today.
Yeah.
Love to hear about your relationship with the Dude guys.
This picture was taken. It's myself and a gentleman from YouTube doing a panel with a couple of the members of Dude Perfect down in the south of France at the Cannes Lions Festival. So sitting here in June in a lockdown, looking at a picture of myself in Cannes is kind of tough, but it brings back a lot of great memories. I joined Whistle Sports as a consultant initially. I had actually taken a couple of years off and gone to live abroad. My husband was working in London for a few years. So getting back in, I started up with consulting. Jeff Urban, who maybe is listening, he was texting me earlier to say hey to Wayne. He recruited me to come just help them get things off the ground. They had a great concept. They had some great partners that they had signed in Dude Perfect and a lot of the other kind of YouTube creators in the sports realm, but they hadn't yet really figured out the model for how to go to brands, how to monetize the content that those creators were creating, and how to create their own content that would really serve this kind of new generation of sports fans. So it was so fun because we really built that. I've worked at a lot of entrepreneurial companies and startups, but the Whistle was really the only one, or the first one, that I was there from the very beginning. There was some time before I came, but really turning it into a business, generating revenue, and being out in the marketplace. I was there from the very beginning, $1, and that was fun. It was really tough. It was at times, because there was no playbook for this business that we were in with all these creators, and they wanted to be successful, and they looked at us as a potential path to great success and monetization. And every day was different, and not every day was easy, but we had so much fun there, so much success. And you can imagine now, fast forward to where I am personally, I have, an 11 and 8-year-old boy. So Dude Perfect is in a way more part of my life than it was then, because it's all they watch. It's like what they love. We went to the Dude Perfect show last summer, and hopefully they'll go on tour again when things come back and to some normal. But it was a lot of fun, and those guys are super inspiring, as are so many of the other talent that we got to work with back in those days. It was really I learned there for the first time how creators can just kind of the democratization of content that had happened in the industry with YouTube and other platforms, and seeing how the individual content creators could rise to being as big as stars, as major celebrities, and the work that went on behind it, like being behind the scenes, being at those shoots with those guys when we had, partnerships we were executing, and seeing how much rigor goes into it and how much creativity, but also just sheer work to get those videos out. Every Monday they were launching a new video, and they were all like they're top-notch quality and very consistent. That was fun to be part of.
Yeah, well, it was a great run when you were there, and I'm happy that Jeff was texting you earlier. As you know, Jeff is also involved with one of our new portfolio companies,
yes,
the sports betting side of the world, which is what you're also now involved with as part of some of the things that you're doing. But again, we're really excited to have so many viewers out there tonight. If you can hear in the background here, it's thundering and lightning, and it's kind of crazy. But it's Wednesday night. It's our 76 Capital Leadership Series. We have Deirdre Lester, the Chief Revenue Officer of Barstool Sports, and we are at that place in her life where it was 2018, if I'm correct, when you moved from Whistle over to Barstool and went to go work with some interesting individuals who have really turned the sports media world upside down and right side up, and have done some incredible things. And I'd love to hear some of your experiences there so far. And
yeah, it's been about 2.5 years, a little more. I feel like I've been here a lot longer because so much has happened in that time. The growth has been phenomenal. And Barstool was on an amazing growth trajectory before I came. But just what's happened in the last 2.5 years has been a wild ride, and it's going to continue to be for the foreseeable future. I joined, I met Erica through some connections. This role had been open for quite some time. She'd been looking for a CRO to come in and build out, a sales organization and, build up the advertising business, which was already, pretty strong, which was attractive to me, not have to come in and build something that was, at $1, but actually was like already operational and pretty significant. But then I saw an opportunity to really scale it. Some of the things that got me excited about that picture is awesome. That is a picture of me and Erica at the Barstool Pond Hockey Tournament, which, by the way, happened a week before we went into COVID-19 quarantine. So that's like my last memory of like being out in the open with crowds of people and partying, having a good time. I saw in Erica.
We're getting back there.
We are. I'm very hopeful. The opportunity to come work with Erica, she was very impressive to me, just meeting her, but also her background, her reputation in the industry, and also that she had kind of come up through sales and marketing and sort of knows my area of the business. There's challenges with that, working for someone who knows, the ins and outs of what you do. But it's been incredible because, I've been able to put together business plans for how we scale the team, how we grow the revenue. And it doesn't take a lot of convincing because Erica's been through this and been a part of big sales organizations as well as startup sales organizations.
Well, I guess to that point, what's it been like to be able to attract some of the biggest, brands in the world to Barstool and be able, how do you bring them in? Maybe for some people, maybe for the small amount of people who don't really know Barstool, maybe share a little bit about that. But then you've been able to bring in, it's just some of the biggest brands in the world. We've had a lot of success with that. So when I joined Barstool, there was a pretty healthy business in advertising that was primarily around direct response advertising, the direct to consumer brands, which have all been so emergent in recent years, heavily integrated into podcasts, which we'll talk about, I know. But there wasn't as many big national brand advertisers interested in Barstool. Anheuser-Busch was there in a pretty big way. I think they caught on really early to how much Barstool had a stronghold on younger, the millennial audience, as well as just a lot of, sphere of influence. So they had been there. But outside of that, I didn't see a lot of brand advertisers. And
knew that this is an audience they want to reach. I know Barstool has like engagement beyond anyone's imagination in terms of not only time watched and intention, but also the fans were wearing this brand. Our e-commerce business is very large and growing. We actually had our largest month for e-commerce ever in the history of Barstool this May during a pandemic, which speaks volumes.
Was it all purple sweatpants?
We sold out of purple sweatpants. Nike was struggling to get us more once we started selling them out. Dave Portnoy, our founder, wore purple sweatpants every day for the better part of the quarantine. I will say now he's down in Florida. I've noticed he's wearing like bathing suits and shorts, so he's not, torturing himself any longer with the purple sweatpants. But those were a hot item. There were so many. It's been a really great time, and our team has been really nimble to pivot to things that people want or need to buy during a very different time in our lives. So. But that was a big factor for me too. The fact that they had a massive e-commerce business and people are wanting to walk around and wear the Barstool Stool and Stars hat, hoodie, whatever it might be, because they want people to know, because one, it looks good and we great merchandise, but also they want people to know they're sort of like in the club, in the community, a card carrying member of the Barstool, just fandom, and also, they're proud of that. So to me, that was really compelling. And when I saw the numbers of how much business Barstool was doing on the e-commerce side, it really motivated me because I knew if we could sell that many hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and other merchandise, that we could move a lot of products for our advertising partners or move the needle for them. Selling advertising, there's so many different forms of digital media, everything from, programmatic on up to big sponsorships. And, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is actually going to drive real business results for our partners. And I really saw that like we could do that at Barstool in a meaningful way. The other things too, in terms of attracting big brand advertisers, was like, go back to what big brand advertisers want to know that you're measured by third parties and accredited research providers. So make sure we got onto Nielsen and Shareably and other platforms that Barstool sort of had ignored, getting all signed up on and paying the freight you need to pay to get there. Being able to do brand lift studies for non-direct response advertisers. The direct response advertisers will tell you every day how you're performing, and they'll call you immediately if you messed up the promo code and they're not getting any redemptions on, promo code Dave. So those ones we knew we were working for, but how do you prove to Pepsi that if they sponsor One Bite Pizza reviews with Dave, that it's actually going to impact their brand in a positive way? So we needed to get partnerships that could do cross-platform brand lift studies for advertisers. We needed to build case studies. We needed to show that we could really drive meaningful consumer behavior. And we've been able to do that. You've got the Pink Whitney image up here. This is like the case study of all case studies. New Amsterdam Vodka, we brought them on late last year as the official vodka of Barstool Sports for their regular 80 proof New Amsterdam vodka. And part of that deal was the presenting sponsorship of a hockey podcast, Spit and Chicklets. And the host of that podcast, for anyone who doesn't know, is Ryan Whitney, former NHL player. And Whitney, on the first ad read that we did, where they were sort of announcing, hey, we have this great new sponsor, New Amsterdam Vodka, they went on to kind of tell a story, each of the hosts, there are 3 different hosts on the show, talking about what they like to drink vodka with. Like, if you're going to have a cocktail, what do you mix your vodka with? And Whitney started talking about pink lemonade is the best thing to have with vodka. And suddenly they started, like, kind of out of making fun of him, like, oh, big tough hockey guy drinks pink vodka lemonade. And all of a sudden they started like naming the drink Pink Whitney. Fans then started going out and buying New Amsterdam and buying pink lemonade and sending back all this UGC of themselves drinking Pink Whitneys, or their men's league hockey celebrating after a game with Pink Whitneys instead of beers. And this became like a cult movement amongst the Chicklets followers, hockey fans, hockey people who play recreational hockey. And then like the New Amsterdam folks, which is owned by E&J Gallo. They're the biggest winemaker in the world. Great partner of ours. They came to us and were like, we could actually make this. Like we actually have a formula kind of near ready to go that we could tweak for you guys. We changed up the packaging and we could take this to market in under 12 months. So we did that. It's a pretty amazing process we went through very quickly. And it is now the fastest growing flavored vodka in North America, both US and Canada. So Pink Whitney's outpacing so many very prominent known brands that have been out there building brand equity for years and years. And what we've been able to accomplish in a year's time is unprecedented in the spirits industry. So it's pretty exciting.
It's a really exciting thing. And I know my chief of staff and producer for my show, James Santor is a huge fan and loves Pink Whitney.
Awesome. We'll have to send him some.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I didn't want to talk over that. If you're going to send him some, I see him smiling here. I mean, he's so happy.
Good.
But it really is amazing. And again, just really excited to have you on our show, on our 76 Capital Leadership Series that we do every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, as well as Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Really talking to the leaders in sports who are really doing the next thing, and it's great to have you on the show tonight. One of the things that we had talked about prior to the show a little bit today was culture. I mean, you have a really unique culture at Barstool, at least from an outside perspective. It seems like there's always something going on in the office. People are talking. Yeah. There's a lot of action, at least that you show, and I think it's really cool that you actually do show that side of the office. What's that been like now with COVID-19 and not being able to be in the office? And I see, the picture. Believe this is your sales team. I mean, what's it been like not to be able to be in person with everybody now?
It started out hard. I'd say the first few weeks were a bit of a struggle, but we have a very young team. As you can see on my side, this is the sales organization. This is a boat cruise around Manhattan we did after our national sales conference last summer. We love to go out and have fun. We're a really close-knit team. Everybody is the camaraderie is really strong. That's one of my things that I try to drive anywhere I've been, just try to, get everybody working together, having fun, and have camaraderie. And so, it's hard to not have that. Being in the office at Barstool is so fun. Every day is a different, whether it's a drama or there's like an exciting guest, coming on a podcast that's sitting in the lobby, or so many of our clients want to come to our office versus us coming to theirs because they want to come see, how everything looks behind the scenes, or, sit in the lobby and check out, Dave on radio on Sirius XM, or Big Cat is walking through the hall and they get to say hello to him in person. And our people are so friendly to our clients and partners that come in. So the office environment we definitely miss. People are I know James, your producer, mentioned that, he noticed today that there were some people in the office already a little ahead of the reopening that we're going to be doing in July. But yeah, people are just clamoring to get back in there. They're clamoring to be together, but they've done a really good job of producing their content remotely. I mean, we have seen so much growth during this time because our talent and our producers and our sales organization were able to pivot really well to producing content from home. A lot of them use the same platform you're using here, Wayne, StreamYard, to do live streaming, produced shows that you're able to bring in the graphics the way you're doing right now. We're doing a lot on new platforms, more emerging platforms. So Twitch, TikTok, really big areas of growth for us right now. Really exciting. And I think we'll carry that into beyond the lockdown. I think we'll continue to lean into that. So that's the office piece of it. We miss it, but Zoom calls, the technology today, what we're able to do is remarkable. And if it had happened 5 years ago, I don't think we would have been set up as well as we are to succeed in this environment. So that's
it's been incredibly impressive. I mean, I just think back. Well, I won't think back too far. So let's think back to the Super Bowl. So we're at Super Bowl in Miami, and the talk of Miami is Barstool. Barstool does a deal with Penn National, and everybody's talking about it. I mean, it is the hottest thing. You do this deal, the stock price of Penn National spikes at $38 or so, and you and Erica and Dave and the team are on top of the world. And there are people in Miami. I remember talking to people that are kind of scratching their head. They're like, Barstool and Penn National, what is this all about? I don't even know who these Barstool people are, but how are they going to do stuff with this Penn National? They're one of the biggest sports betting, and casino companies in the country. And, I'm sitting there smiling because I had, over the years gotten to know John Kaplowitz, who is in charge of the sports betting side. He's a Philly guy, and he's, someone who has been a great leader over there at Penn National. And I was smiling thinking, wow, what a brilliant move. And then we hit COVID, right? And the stock,
not great timing.
I mean, it tanks like it's like horrible drop to under $5 a share. And all of a sudden this brilliant deal doesn't look so brilliant. But here we are today in June, and your stock price the stock price of Penn National is at $32 now. It's back up. Both DraftKings and as well as Penn National stocks are some of the most top performing stocks in all of America during this time. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about sports? What does that tell you about sports betting? What does that tell you about the future of what's going to happen overall in the sports industry?
Yeah. Going back to the Super Bowl, I'd say every year it is our goal to be the most talked about thing at the Super Bowl. So we've succeeded in that in as many years as I've been paying attention in past years by, doing things to agitate Roger Goodell and the NFL. This year, a little bit different. We're making a big announcement, more focus on our business, Barstool, and Penn National's investment in Barstool. And, I think it is brilliant. It is a perfect match. They have 41 casinos in 19 states. You mentioned earlier how many states are now, legalized for sports betting. It's the future of sports. It's a huge area of growth. There's so much going on in that space, but it goes all the way back to like when Dave started Barstool Sports. It was a newspaper that he handed out in subway tea stations in Boston, and it was all about gambling. So it's always been Dave's passion to be a big player in the gambling space. Betting on sports has always been a big through line in all of our content where it's relevant. So we do a lot of content that isn't sports, like pop culture and lifestyle and whatnot. So we're not going to talk betting there. But when it comes to Chiclets, Starting Nine, our baseball podcast, Redline Radio, which is our Chicago sports podcast. There's always talk about betting. Everybody's making bets. Dave and Big Cat are easily, I think, the two biggest influential sports bettors that there are. And so I think, when PASPA was overturned and there was all this sudden talk about sports betting, I know from just hearing Dave tell the story that, he immediately went into Erica and was like, what are we doing? Like, we have to do something. Sports betting is going to be huge. This is our moment. What's our plan? And they immediately began seeking out, just getting to know everybody in the industry, talking to everybody that's doing anything in sports betting, meeting with all the power players, smaller players, European players, all of that. And what we did from a sponsorship perspective was we had long worked with some offshore gaming advertisers. We kind of did away with them, parted with them, and got, looked towards the daily fantasy brands, both DraftKings and FanDuel, to see what they were going to do. And so in the first year of sports betting being legalized, it was an opportunity for us to go work with some of the biggest players in the space. FanDuel had been working with us on the daily fantasy front for a long time. So we kind of pivoted our partnership to focus all on their sportsbook, and primarily a big emphasis on New Jersey and being at their sportsbook with them and doing physical events there. They were great partners, great success we had together. In year two, we brought in multiple partners because our platform is very large. We have so many franchises, and we felt we could service more than just one sponsor in the category at that point as it was getting bigger. So we had partnerships with FanDuel, PointsBet and MGM Bet, which is Roar. And so those were great partners. But in the meantime, we were also looking for what's our bigger strategic move in this space. And, we talked to Erica and Dave, met with everyone. Penn, when they tell the story, if you hear them tell the story about Penn, they felt like it was even in the initial meeting with Jay Snowden, the CEO of Penn National, they just felt like this was a fit, that this made a lot of sense, that we really have to pursue a deal with them. Jay's a really, he's a younger, very impressive CEO. He has a massive business of casinos all around the country. And what he was missing, what he needed, was a national recognized brand that he could launch a mobile sports book with. And Barstool has a massive audience, over 68 million fans that come to our different properties to listen and watch our personalities, many of them who are betting on sports. So we bring a big brand, we bring a huge funnel of people who are already primed for, fantasy, gaming, and betting on sports. And, this will be an exciting year. We will launch the Barstool Sportsbook app in the third quarter of this year. And we are going to build a best-in-class app that will compete with everybody that's out there in the market today. And we feel really great about our brand. We feel really great about, having the access to the physical locations that Penn has, so we can now be hosting events together at those places. We actually had a huge tour that we were supposed to be doing for March Madness, the Positive Vibes Only tour, which got canceled, obviously. But we were planning to be at 4 different Penn locations live on site. We had sold tickets to fans to come, watch the tournament with our personalities. We have an RV sitting in a warehouse somewhere right now that was like wrapped and ready to go. We had sponsors on board. So we'll get back to that fairly quickly, but there's a lot on the horizon with Penn. It's a very exciting partnership, and it's very much like the DNA between the two companies makes a lot of sense, and the opportunity made a lot of sense.
Well, congratulations on that. That was really exciting. I mean, James showed one of the pictures, which I thought was also really great, of, when the guys visited our guys in the desert over at Wiesn with Brent Musburger, which is one of our portfolio companies.
Yes. Yeah. That's Big Cat and PFT from Pardon My Take, for anyone watching that might not be as familiar, but that's a great shot. You talked about the stock price. Like, I don't look at the stock price much. I know it's exciting to watch because it's been so volatile, and Dave's talked about it a lot, but it's a long-term play.
So and I think, what's it like, working with Dave? I mean, it seems like he has an idea a minute, right? I mean, he's always thinking about something. He's always trying to make a move. You said he was, he's trading stocks now. So
Dave is, a fascinating character. He's brilliant, I think. I think everybody that works with Dave thinks that he's brilliant. He's hilarious, obviously, and he's a showman. So he is constantly making everybody laugh, or putting on a show, or creating drama amongst the Barstool personalities or other people out there, celebrities, politicians at times, just constantly driving conversation and attention around him. So it's pretty fascinating how he's done that now when he's not in the office and not with all his, kind of cast around him. But he's never had more attention than he has today, as he's just getting bigger and bigger. He's getting picked up on because he's been day trading, because he can't bet on sports. Now he's popular, or unpopular maybe with some, but popular and known in like the Wall Street and day trading communities. He's been on CNBC multiple times to talk about his day trading activities and strategies. And that's just gotten a ton of attention from maybe an audience that maybe wasn't as engaged as our core audience. So he's been able to really grow the brand. Or like Dave's doing, instead of doing pizza reviews, which he was doing before, of all the pizza shops wherever he goes and all around New York City, he's now doing frozen pizza reviews, and it's hilarious. And it's actually broadened his interest group of that franchise to a broader group of people, because people who maybe don't come to New York and live in somewhere on the other side of the country or the middle of the country and don't plan to come to New York, they're not as interested in New York City pizza reviews. But now, like, he's doing this hilarious frozen pizza review, and people love it. And I've got my mother calling me every day to talk about what Dave said in the pizza review now. So it's that part is fun. Like, Dave's just fun. He's constantly surprising all of us. We don't usually get a heads up when he's going to do something kind of crazy. It just happens, and then we all just kind of like react. And then, I feel fortunate that I get to see the business side of Dave. And I think what's that not everybody sees that side of him, because it's not what's normally on camera, but the behind the scenes, doing meetings with Dave or talking with Dave about decisions we're making about the business, is really interesting. And I will say, like, he doesn't conform to any industry standards. And so he has, in the time I've been at Barstool, and I would say the same thing about Erica, is I challenge my own way of thinking about things all the time because of them and because of working with them, because we're just not doing things the way everybody else does them. And so if it's supposed to be done this way, that doesn't mean we're going to do it that way. And usually that ends with a good result. But I'd say it's challenging, but in a very positive way, working with Dave and Erica.
But it sounds like it's also fun and it's exciting.
So much fun. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to have this much fun at this stage of your career, but I'm having more fun than, really anywhere I've been before, which is interesting. People ask me all the time, like, well, not so much anymore. I think it's become more widely known that Barstool has a balanced audience and more personalities of, female or color, but I think there was a misperception, or maybe because of what Barstool was years and years ago and how it became what it is today, that it's this misogynist place and how could you go work there? And I'm like, honestly, people, like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm having so much fun. And actually, in all my years of working in media and sports, over 20 years, like, it's been a really long time. And it's that I can say I worked for a woman. Never in sports did I ever work for a woman. So that didn't occur to me until after I got in this job and started, like, working with Erica, like, oh, wow, this is different. Like, I've never worked for a woman before. So it's kind of funny because I didn't really pay much attention to the fact that I was working in a boys club all my career, but now I'm not, and I really enjoy it.
That's really awesome. And again, it's awesome to have you on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. And one of the questions you mentioned it. It's one of the questions I wanted to ask you at the end was what is the one question that people ask you all the time about Barstool? Is there a question that, whether it's friends of yours or maybe your mom or others who say to you, like, what's it like, or is there something that is there one big question that people ask you all the time?
I mean, I think the people that know Barstool and follow us think that I have the greatest job in media. And, I might actually, or one of them, but, I feel like I do, at least. I'm very happy where I am. I think one of the things, if I would be honest, it's pretty funny, but, like, you can't get away from it. It's everywhere. So, not that I don't love talking about Barstool, but I do. But, now my husband's hooked on it. So when I come home from work, he wants to ask me, like, how did this happen, or what was going on behind the scenes. I went to, I hurt my calf trying to run during a pandemic and was totally out of shape. And so I had to go to a physical therapist, and he just wanted to talk about Barstool the whole time. And I'm like, really? Like, can you just be quiet for a little while? So it's popular with everyone. My kids play hockey. All the hockey coaches want to talk about, what they heard on Spin Chiclets. So in a way, like, that can be overwhelming at times. I've never in my life experienced what I experience on LinkedIn now, with the sheer number of, like, kids that are coming out of college without jobs, and they just want to connect with someone at Barstool. I feel a responsibility to connect with people like that, but it's impossible to connect with all of them. And some of them are really so eager that they're sending, like, really creative things to me. I'm sure I know Dave and Erica get tons of things sent to them, or people trying to get their attention on the business side. And it's hard. It's hard to manage that because it's, with the hours I put in doing my job, and then at night try to be, a parent and, be present in my family life. it's just impossible. I can't save every college kid in America that wants an interview at Barstool Sports, but I do try. And I have a great team, and so many of them have been hired just on reaching out and trying to prove themselves at Barstool Sports.
Yeah, well, that's look, that was one of the things I was going to ask you about, but that's awesome that you try to help, and that's one of the big things that we do at 76 Capital. We have a whole resource page where we give information about all the things to read, all the different opportunities at different job boards, and try to help people be able to get into this industry. But again, as you said, it's all about you got to be creative. You got to figure out ways to break in. And we have a great picture on the screen of you and our mutual friend, Paul Rabel, from the PLL. And I know you're involved with that as well.
Yeah. I've known Paul a while. He is a friend. He was a partner at Whistle Sports. We helped him build up his YouTube channel and other social channels. He came into our world via a partnership he had with TLN, the Lacrosse Network, which was acquired by Whistle Sports in, I think, 2015. And so got to know Paul there, worked really closely with him. And then, when he started talking to me about what he was planning with the PLL, I just thought it was fascinating. I believe in Paul. Him and his brother Mike have done a tremendous job with this league. And I got in as a seed investor when they were launching it, because I believe in them and I know they're going to be successful. But also, when I think about investments like in startups in the sports realm or the digital realm, like one of the things that excited me about the PLL was that I have kids that love lacrosse. I have kids that idolize Paul. And so to be an investor in something that I could bring to my life. I mean, Wayne, like working in this industry, working in any industry, and then balancing work-life balance is so hard. So now, to have this access to the PLL, to be in the know and advising on some of the things they're doing, but to go to the events and feel like a part of it, it's really fun. So that photo was last year at their playoffs at Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. And, again, they're going to come back. They won't have fans, so I probably won't go to their events this year, but I'll be watching. And it's a great thing to kind of be able to bring your family into your work life.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. One of our earlier 76 Capital Leadership Series, we had Sarah Slane on. Sarah Slane is one of the experts in sports betting, and she's working with Paul and Mike right now, and she's helping them on the sports betting side of things and what they're going to be doing. So it's really exciting to see all of our, a lot of our friends and people that we've been involved with, whether it was from a Whistle Sports perspective or, or just people that we know within the industry, are really doing some exciting things. And I love the fact that you shared how much fun you're having. And I tell people all the time that, if you're not having fun, if you don't love what you're doing, if you're not jumping out of bed in the morning, you got to go find something else to go do. And that's awesome to hear that you have that. So what would you say right now? A couple quick questions for you as we sort of wind down here. What's been your proudest moment of your career so far?
It's a big question. I think, it's not just one accomplishment. It's the whole thing. I think being able to be at so many really impressive entrepreneurial companies is something that, I look back on now. So Barstool Sports, Whistle Sports, Rivals.com I was at when we were acquired for nearly $100 million by Yahoo Sports. So it's being able to be in that entrepreneurial side of things and have success at it. And, with it, whether it's, being a part of what we've been able to build for Penn to come in and make the investment that they're making in Barstool, or be part of the Rivals success story. Those two really stand out the most to me. And then I'd also say my teams, and maybe some of them are here listening right now, but I'm like very close to my teams. It's really important to me that they are inspired, they love what they do, that they're successful. And, whether it's at Rivals, MLB, here at Barstool, back at the Whistle Sports, days, my teams and what I get to see them go on to do is something that I love to watch. And I keep track and tabs on all of them, and I stay in touch with so many of them, because you do move on from people when you move companies, and everyone goes in different directions. But I love seeing the people that I was, a manager of and, a leader of, go on to become leaders themselves or go on to have highly successful careers.
That's awesome. Do you have a specific podcast that you listen to and that you really enjoy from Barstool?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of them. You can't listen to them all. It's actually one of the hardest things, is keeping up with the content at Barstool, because there's so much of it. I right now I'm really dialed into Erica's new podcast. So during this crisis, Erica launched a podcast called Token CEO, and it's like on a normal day, it's 10 minutes. Sometimes when she has guests, it's more like 30. But she's doing it Monday through Friday. It's a quick listen. It's great for me because it's like a little window into my boss's mind of like, hey, what's she thinking about today? What are she prioritizing? But she's been so positive throughout everything. She's been able to find, be an inspiration to a lot of young professionals. It's like they're listening to her and getting an MBA. She's bringing on phenomenal guests. So every episode is interesting. So I'd really encourage people that are interested in the business side of what we do to listen to that. All of our podcasts are terrific. And, I'm a big fan of Spin Chicklets because I'm so close to those guys, given, what we do. And because my husband listens to it, I kind of get the scoop on when they have a great guest coming on. He's ahead of me on that. So, and then, you've got Rhea and Fran here. That was actually my first day at Barstool Sports. I went out with Rhea and Fran. We were at the Barstool Christmas party of 2017, and Rhea and Fran, I met them for the first time. Their show is Chicks in the Office. So if you're into like celebrity pop culture, they're the place to go. They're getting, so many great notable celebrities coming on their show now. So I've watched them go from just like interns that had an Instagram channel that they were, just getting off the ground right before I came to Barstool, to now, very, very known in the pop culture sphere, celebrity sphere. And they're still so humble. They're like just such fangirls of like the Kardashians or the Jonas Brothers or whatever it is, but they're so creative and they're so relatable, and everyone just that follows them is super engaged. And they've been really fun to watch them see the success they've had and the rise they've had.
Well, I don't want to keep you all night, and I really appreciate your time. It's been fun seeing you, getting a chance to talk and catch up. And my God, I think you've given some incredible nuggets of advice and wisdom to a lot of different people, as well as just some stories around Erica and Dave and a view into the world of Barstool Sports to our audience here at our 76 Capital Leadership Series. So, Deirdre, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Wayne, I love it. Thank you so much. It's great to be part of. I really appreciate you inviting me on the show. I will continue to watch your show, and you got some great guests yourself. And I love that you do this at night. I hope a lot of people are tuning in, and I look forward to when we can see one another in person again sometime soon.
Absolutely. We'll listen. Stay healthy. Be safe. Make sure that take care of your family, and we'll get through all this stuff, and we'll be better off, and hopefully very, very soon. And as you said, we do have some really special guests, and this Sunday night at 7, we are bringing on Jessica Gelman. Many of you know Jessica. She's the CEO of the Craft Analytics Group and co-founder of the highly regarded MIT Sloan Analytics Conference, probably the top conference when it comes to the sports business and analytics world. I mean, everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to know Jessica. We're going to have Jessica on the show on Sunday night at 7. Really excited about that. We're going to talk about the role of data and analytics and the future of sports, and her involvement with your husband and your boy's favorite team, the New England Patriots. So that'll be Sunday night at 7. Again, Deirdre Lester, Chief Revenue Officer of Barstool Sports. Thank you so much. You can follow us on 76 Capital on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube. Please reach out to us anytime. DM us, send me an email at Wayne at 76 Capital. We want to meet all the great entrepreneurs who are doing the next thing in sports. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks a lot.